You spend the weekend watching productivity tutorials, take pages of notes on new study systems, and feel a massive surge of motivation. Then, a month later, your grades are exactly where they started. Adam Koo lived this failure daily as a 12-year-old. He was ranked at the bottom of a class that was already at the bottom of his school. He was labeled non-gifted and mediocre. Yet he managed to flip his trajectory, eventually reaching the top 1% of students at the National University of Singapore. When Koo released a manual detailing his methods, techniques like mind mapping and phonetic memory systems, it sold hundreds of thousands of copies. But for the vast majority of those readers, the book remained a collection of interesting ideas that never translated into a higher GPA. Success leaves behind clues, but most people stop at the clues. They ignore the uncomfortable psychological requirement that makes the strategies actually work. Research into high achievers shows the population is divided by a specific mental filter. 95% of students approach their work with a mindset that guarantees stagnation. Only 5% possess the psychological readiness to actually apply the tools. Readiness goes beyond a new flashcard app. It involves a total change in how you respond to the friction of learning. To the 95%, success sits in the category of a wish. They would like to get better grades, and they hope to understand the material. This group stops the moment the work gets difficult. If a textbook chapter takes 3 hours instead of 1, or if they have to sacrifice their favorite computer games, their effort vanishes. They are only willing to try as long as the process remains inside their comfort zone. The 5% move success into a different mental category, the must. For them, a top-tier result is a non-negotiable necessity. This shift in category changes every action. Adam Koo didn't just read about motivation. He covered his walls in self-drawn posters and studied 10 hours a day, sacrificing his hobbies to master the strategies. He did whatever the goal required. Look at the expression on Tiger Woods during a championship swing. That intensity comes from a refusal to accept anything less than the perfect execution of his mechanics. Steven Spielberg shows this same level of commitment on a film set. He isn't hoping for a good shot. He is relentlessly shaping every variable until the outcome matches his vision. Results rarely depend on your baseline intelligence. They depend on your willingness to treat the goal as an absolute requirement. Locus of control determines if you're a victim or an owner. The 95% blame the world, an unfair test or boring teacher, losing the power to fix it. The 5% pull responsibility inward, choosing to be the primary cause of every result. When a 5% student encounters an incompetent teacher, they don't complain about the instruction. They blame themselves for not self-studying the material sooner. If a test is unfairly difficult, they take responsibility for not preparing for the worst-case scenario. This process of absorbing the blame is what keeps you in the driver's seat. If you are the reason you failed, you are also the only person who can decide to succeed next time. Radical ownership turns a lousy result into a solvable data problem. You stop being a powerless passenger and start adjusting your own strategies. The difference between a failing student and a gifted one often comes down to this single choice of perspective. Study techniques and memory systems give you the map, but this internal drive determines if you actually complete the journey. Without the decision to own your results, even the best strategies will sit unused on your shelf. Audit your current routine. Look for the places where you've made excuses or allowed your goals to remain mere wishes. You have to stop outsourcing your failure and start treating your academic success as a necessity. Take absolute control over your actions today. Once you decide to own your outcomes, you are finally ready to apply the strategies of the gifted.